All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to episode 3 of the Business Banker Boss. I am David Wilson, managing principal of Fund You Up, here to present to you the Business Banker Boss. The Business Banker Boss is an opportunity to speak to business bankers, commercial bankers, and branch managers all over about their experience, what they do to help the business community, what they do to help keep the economy moving, success stories, learning about them, how they got into banking, kind of what makes them tick. Today, I have an awesome opportunity. I'm excited to speak to my good friend, Mr. Jeff Crook. Jeff Crook is our third business banker boss. So welcome, Jeff.
Thank you for having me, David.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, why don't we start, Jeff? Tell us just a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into kind of how you got started and some exciting stories you might have.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on today, David, and looking forward to all the rights and privileges that come along with this interview series here. I'm delighted. I'm native New Jerseyan, I believe, like yourself, David, who
Oh,
ended up down in Central Virginia, and have a family here, kind of in the near West End area. What wife, couple kids, trying to figure out everything with the quarantine and schools and all that fun. But proud to be a commercial banker here at Village Bank, in a branch not too far from my house, and having fun.
awesome. Now, for those out there watching and those who know me, I just want to be clear. Jeff was the one who mentioned he was from Jersey, not me. So, so I just want to make that clear. Yes, I am from Jersey, but I was the second guy on here to say it, not the first. We're
We
just
were both smart enough to get out of there, Dave.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I represent Jersey. That's just where I'm from. So, but we are
Very
both here.
good.
So that's
Very
cool.
good.
All right. So you mentioned Village Bank. Tell us about how you got there. Tell us your story.
Sure. I've been a commercial banker for a little less than 3 years now. I've spent most of my career actually operating regional, local payroll services bureau. We were called Xperity, and we had about 700 clients locally. Um, we happened to have a marketing partnership with Village Bank. So until September of 2017, when the company was sold, um, you would have seen co-branded payroll material in the Village Bank branches, and that was our payroll service. So I knew a lot of them, the folks here, that way. And I was a partner at this firm in 2017. Like I said, we decided that it was kind of time to sell that payroll service. We sold it to a national competitor of ours that required me to sign a no compete. So I had to look at a different industry to be in. And banking made a lot of sense to me because it would allow me to maintain a lot of my centers of influence and work with the existing clients that I had and do something different with them without violating my no compete. In addition, I knew and liked a lot of the people at Village Bank already, and admired the leadership of the bank, and thought to myself, there's some things that I'll have to learn about being a banker, but I do know that I really like the people over there, so this might be a really good fit for me as a way to maintain those client relationships, and really kind of learn something new and apply a lot of the skills that I already had.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So you you owned and ran and exited a successful business in the area in which you're practicing as a banker,
Yep.
as a business banker specifically.
Yep.
That sounds like that would give you like an incredible edge over a lot of other bankers. What do you think about that? How you
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and I think that it has been an advantage for me. When I go to prospect meetings or spend time, like with potential clients, I usually like to bring that out and say I have spent most of my time, my career on their side of the table, the banker, rather than my side. So I think it allows me, to empathize with them, a little bit better when they don't understand why a bank is, wants something to work the way they want it to work and how it doesn't, quite make sense. So, having been, on that side of the table, um, I've been in their shoes, and in addition, I've been, up until the last few years while I've been a banker, like I said, on the other side of the table, with appointments with bankers, I've enjoyed the opportunity to kind of learn not only about like commercial lending, but the other aspects of the bank, minimally to the degree that I can be dangerous, the treasury services or deposit services, things like that. So I can kind of go out there and really, be a hub of all the things that a client needs. My experience, prior to doing this was that the knowledge at banks is very siloed. It always amazed me that I would sit across the table from bankers and three or four would come, and why did it require three or four to talk to me? It made me feel really special, but I really like, being able to go out there and kind of be, the one, or if there's an opportunity, that requires, a bit deeper knowledge, I can certainly bring some colleagues along, but I really like being a point person.
Okay, absolutely, absolutely. Um, how do you get that same feeling, or do you hear that from your prospects? So when you do they feel at ease knowing that? So when they hear about your experience, it, do they feel at ease? Tell me a little bit about that.
I think they do. The clients, tend to have all had some experience, good or bad, like with bankers in the past, and in a time where not only banks but all industries are streamlining processes and costs. I think I offer a value prop that they desire. They want to speak with somebody that knows how to speak the language that they do, understands, like what a revenue cycle looks like, managing expenses, business stages, AR, AP, things like that, that I understood from my prior experience. So it's not kind of like I'm reading from a script. It's something that I actually lived.
Right. But then throw in the soft side. So from a business owner, knowing from a business owner's perspective, knowing that that sleepless night feeling, or
Yeah.
that I need to make payroll feeling, it seems that would put them at ease as well.
I would agree, and I think that's probably been highlighted even a bit more during this pandemic is, you know, I like asking people how they're doing, how's business? A lot of times lately, with certain industries, I know that the answer isn't going to be a good, that things are fine and dandy, but I also think that my experience puts me in a position where maybe they feel like I'm just curious about their business, which I am, rather than
Right.
kind of being checking under the carpet or, trying to figure out, some banker angle, like why I'm asking these questions. They're just genuine.
Right, right, right. That's come up quite a bit. The difference between a I don't want to pick on any bigger banks, but that product pushing person, that's not PPP, just product pushing person.
The other PPP.
The other PPP versus the relationship building, and I think a lot of business owners are not always accustomed to having that relationship, having the banker call and say, "Hey, how's it going? How are you doing?"
Yeah, that's right. And I always feel like I have to qualify why I'm asking the question or why I'm not asking the question just to set them at ease. Like, hey, this question has nothing to do with, whether I'm going to renew your line of credit next year or something like that. I'm just curious, like just,
Right.
let me know. And just because their guards up around a banker and just to let them know that they can kind of like lower the gate a little bit.
Sure. Okay. So you mentioned that you're at Village Bank. Um, so Jeff Crook is at Village Bank, but Jeff Crook is also Jeff Crook. Tell us about is it more important to have a relationship with a banker or a relationship with a bank? Give us your thoughts about that.
Well, I think that's a good question. I mean, I think it's probably both. I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for, but it's probably both. And in candor, I'm just learning what it's like to be a banker during a down economic cycle. So I think it's important to have a relationship with a banker like me that cares, for the reasons that we were describing before. I also think that it's important to work with a bank that, is interested and wants to help work things out, during a down cycle also. Like, well, I would like to answer your question and say it's just about me, or somebody like me. If I was working, at another bank and there was a more aggressive, approach to correcting, issues with a loan, I'm going to not have that much control over it. So in candor, I probably lack the perspective, to date to give a one way or another answer on that question. Like I think that I'm a good fit for what we do here. I enjoy working here. I think they find a lot of value in me, and I think, I don't want to, sell myself short, but I think it's a combination, Dave.
Okay. All right. That's a good answer. That is definitely acceptable. So that said, we just went through the thing they call PPP.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear some of your before I get into our relationship during PPP. I want you to get into what was going on behind the scenes
Sure.
During that time, because a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, I mean, good question. You're going to force me to relive, some, kind of tense moments by asking that question, But yeah, I mean, it was a good experience. It didn't always feel good, along the way during the process, but there was, it was new for everybody, just like all of the borrowers and small businesses out there. We were hearing things like, this money has been authorized, but it'll be gone in 36 hours or 3 days. And whoever, gets the money is going to be a winner, and whoever doesn't is a loser. And it forced us to work, really hard, really fast, and in some instances, probably faster than banks typically feel comfortable doing, but we had to do it because the money might run out in 36 hours, and if you're a little bit more deliberate about it, you put yourself in a position where you miss, a really great opportunity to help your clients out. So, the rollout, and To the SBA's credit, they had never originated this volume of loans this quickly. I mean, there were things about the process that could have been handled better. However, it was like totally new territory for them too. The clients were asking us questions that we didn't always know the answers to. We were trying to be as responsive as possible, but in addition, it was like the entire marketplace kind of like collapsed on bankers who were willing to answer their phone and answer questions at that time. And there weren't a lot of them doing it. I don't say that, to discredit others because, in some instances, some of the larger banks, had caps on the amount of PPP loans they could originate because of asset size limits. But, in my experience, I feel like I provided value because of my previous payroll experience. A lot of the information that was required to originate a PPP loan was payroll information. So, I was kind of at the matrix of, understanding my current role and kind of how banks handle the origination of loans, but also understanding the data that we were asking of our clients in order to originate the loans. So, it was weeks and weeks of round-the-clock effort on weekends, time away from family, but family understood that it was an important thing that we're doing. And clients were really grateful. I had a lot of clients, that, I told them that we had approved their SBA funding, broke down in tears. They were emotional about it. Again, acknowledging that all the media, and the marketplace said, hey, if you don't have your funds in, 3 days, you're hosed. Right. So that was, kind of the perspective there, as timing went along, there was multiple rounds of the funding itself, and, the program closed in early August, and there was still money left. There was still funds that were authorized that were left in the program. So kind of in hindsight, some of that urgency that was generated on everyone so initially was unwarranted. But, in that moment, when you're trying to keep your lights on and your doors open, as a small business owner, you had to act with a lot of urgency. So, sleepless nights, long hours, every day of the week, but, it was very gratifying too.
Okay. That's great insight. Especially on the SBA piece, because I think you nailed it. The foundation of the entire program was flawed. So everything that stemmed from that, and that's no one's fault. It's just that the SBA, the volume they had been used to, this was unprecedented for them, and now everyone else is supposed to plug into that tiny little itty bitty funnel to make this work for all the business owners. I like to get those stories out to let not just the business community know, but also the world to know that we were all working within a system that within an ever-changing system, kind of without a net most of the time to get this done for as many businesses as possible.
Yeah, that's right. And, to further that, there was a lot of new things, and flexibility by the SBA, and then there was folks like me that were on the front end of the client relationships and trying to make things happen in the bank. Then there's also a lot of folks that are kind of like, down the line, if you will, at the bank, that have to do with, getting paperwork out and getting, documents prepared for the loans and, loans funded. We're not a gigantic bank here at Village Bank. We got 9 branches. It's an unbelievable, thing that I learned during this process. We typically originate 700 or 800 commercial loans a year at Village Bank.
Okay.
Our loan documentation team prepared paperwork for 1,500 loans in 2 months,
Right.
whereas they typically do half that in an entire calendar year.
Right.
So, the workload, those, and we really had two ladies, here, Kendall and Nicole doing all of those, just around the clock. If I was working 14 hours a day, they were probably working 17. But just, really an amazing all hands on deck effort.
That's awesome. Good story. Good story. Kind of tying back into your business experience and tying back into this PPP experience, and then overall as a banker, you come from business. We met in the same networking organization, BNI. How have and how are and how will those relationships that you built 15 years ago, how do they help you today? How do they help your clients today?
Well, a couple things. One, having a deep bench of contacts and business owner COIs, that I've known for a long time, puts me in a position where I'm able to easily refer trusted professionals for different trades, folks that I've worked with for that many years. When somebody needs help on something, I know folks that can help them in an array of industries. On kind of the me side, if you will, I think the value proposition that I bring is that I've only had 3 employers in my career. I'm not I've still got a lot of runway left with me in my career, but I've been, a professional for 20 years now. And at a time where there's a lot of job hopping and people going from new business card to new business card, I think that a lot of my contacts know that Jeff's somebody that's going to kind of be there. He's not somebody that if I refer, in 6 months, he's going to turn around and have a different business card. And I referred, one of my clients somewhere that the reason that I did that is not there anymore. Right. And I think that's important. I think when I switched from payroll to banking to begin with, probably some of my old clients were a little hesitant to kind of like jump straight into it. Some of them thought, gosh, this guy's last name is Crook and I trusted him with my payroll, so I might as well trust him with my banking now. But others were probably thinking, we'll just see if Jeff likes this. Is this something that works for him? Like before I kind of go back, to working with him on something new, and now, going on 3 years later, I've had some of those folks say, all right, like obviously he's doing some good things, and, I see some of his LinkedIn activity. He seems to be still having fun where he's at. And, yeah. I mean, I think success is a function of seat time. I think folks that hop from job to job, for a few more bucks, I question, in the long run, if they'll end up in a better spot or not. Certainly some folks do, but I don't operate that way.
Sure. Okay. Awesome. Well, that's a honest way to put that. So in your 3 years, you must have experienced some pretty awesome successes. Why don't you share with us one of those awesome business success stories that kind of make you feel good about what you do?
Sure. I mean, I don't want to regurgitate, the conversation that we just had about PPP. I mean, if there had to be one, it would have been that. Um, I probably gain about 90 or 100 new relationships with a bank in a 2-month period. In a normal time, if I generate 2 or 3 new relationships a month, I've had a great month. People don't wake up in the morning and decide to switch their business banking on a whim. So when you can gain 90 or 100 new relationships in that quick of a time, not that I would wish the pandemic, to happen, on any time again, but we'll probably never have a leverage point to get new clients like we had, back this spring, maybe during the duration of my career. Regarding, other success stories, I mean, like a lot of bankers seem to have specialty, types of lending that they do. And maybe my career will evolve that way. I really like being a generalist. I like having originated investment real estate loans, owner-occupied commercial mortgages, so all stuff related to real estate and appraisals and title and all the things that go into real estate loans. I've also really enjoyed originating traditional SBA loans. I've done a couple of those with business acquisitions, business partner buyouts, and those are clients that are extremely grateful because, I've given them an opportunity to, control their destiny, if you will. Other commercial lines of credit, and equipment loans and auto loan, commercial auto loans. I enjoy doing a little bit of everything here. And, kind of being a jack of all trades. I also really enjoy being able to, generate deposit business. I think a lot of lenders spend the bulk of their time trying to find loans. I like finding commercial deposit relationships with the bank because it's super important so that we have money to turn around and lend. So I really like to think that I'm pretty well-rounded in what I bring to the table here rather than have a specific area, of value. But to go back to answering your question, aside from the PPP, it's probably been some of the traditional SBA loans that allowed business owners to kind of buy a business and can control their destiny.
Awesome. I love what you said about during the PPP, the calls that you would get once the business owner found out that they were actually going to get the money. I mean, this was an incredibly tense and anxious period for, dare I say, I mean, certainly most, but the vast majority of business owners because of the uncertainty. And I think what you provided for the small business community is some sort of hope that at least, yes, this is uncertain. Yes, this is chaotic. But I have this established relationship and I don't know how this is going to play out, but I feel confident that he's going to help me. It's kind of like that peace of mind that the businesses got from you.
Yeah, I would agree. It was, gratifying, feeling that way. It was great being looked at by some of these folks as a little bit of a hero, if you will. I certainly don't want to overplay my hand on that by any stretch, but, maybe traditionally, people look at the banker coming over and it's like, oh, it's the banker, and like maybe now it's a little bit, it's like, oh, it's that guy that like helped us keep the lights on back in the spring of 2020. And, I think a lot of people, will remember that, and you'd hope that, down the line, there'd be some leeway that was gained or, some memory of that. So Next time, there's a line of credit renewal, we're not at loggerheads over 10 basis points or something like that, because I think that what you'd like to have done during a period like that is prove to the clients that you're there during the bad times. And, it's easy to be a banker during the good times.
Right.
Everybody's friend's their banker then, but when you prove that you're there for them in the bad times, you'd like to think, that could establish some pretty long-standing relationships with some of those customers.
Well put. Well, on that note, I want to make sure that I formally, in front of the entire world, congratulate you on being a business banker boss. We love what you do for the business community. We appreciate what you do, and it's been a pleasure speaking with you this morning and getting your story out.
It's been a lot of fun doing this, Dave. I've never done anything like this before. You've made me feel a little special, so I appreciate that. And I will certainly be looking to tune in for future business banker boss installments as they come along. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Jeff, just leave everyone with with the best way to get in contact with you. If they like what they heard from you and they get a good feeling about you, how can they contact you?
Sure. My email address is jcrook, JCROOK at villagebank.com, JCROOK at villagebank.com. And my phone number here is 804-399-5682. I work principally out of a branch nearby Douglas Freeman High School and near West End, but have car will travel. Thank you.
Okay. That phone number again, Jeff.
804-399-5682.
5682. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Jeff's contact information is in the chat, everyone. I want to thank Jeff Crook again for joining us on this episode of Business Banker Boss. I want to thank everyone who tuned in. Thanks for watching. Look for episode 4 of the Business Banker Boss coming to you soon. Everyone have a marvelous day. I'm David Wilson, managing principal of Fund You Up, and it's been the episode number 3 of the Business Banker Boss. Jeff, take care. Thanks for joining us.
You're the man, Dave. Thank you.
You got it. We'll talk to you soon.
See you, man.